And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to be talking about the Cleveland Guardians and their torrid start to the season. I mean, really nobody expected them to do what they have been doing, so really just a great job by them and proving everyone wrong. Personally for me, I made some comments about how I thought they were just kind of stuck in purgatory. They weren't good enough to get a top draft pick. Obviously, that was proven wrong before that because they got the number one overall pick in the draft lottery after barely missing the playoffs. So it obviously doesn't matter about record anymore. It just matters about luck in the draft, like all the other sports do it, of course, except football. But so that didn't really matter. But they weren't high enough to go into. They weren't bad enough to go into a full rebuild, but they weren't good enough to fully complete. So they were kind of just in that vein of mediocrity. I compare it to teams like the Chicago Bulls or the New York Islanders, teams that are just okay. That are okay would probably sneak into the playoffs. They got the opportunity, but wouldn't go far and aren't bad enough to fully rebuild and fully blow up the team and just go into a full tank mode. So I kind of thought that's where the Guardians were. I wasn't very high on them. I kind of thought, again, their organization needed a clear vision. And this season so far has provided us with that vision. And that vision is that the Guardians are somehow contenders. And they are not just contenders. They are extreme contenders. They are best team in baseball currently. Now, we look at the standings of baseball, and we look at the top winning percentages. We see the regular teams. Braves, 727. Of course, you have Philly, 625. Makes sense. Milwaukee, 636. Kind of a surprise, but again, the Milwaukee, they've been great these past few years. Los Angeles, 560, top of the NL West. No surprise. New York, 667. Baltimore, 652. All these things that are kind of normal. And then we see Cleveland, 739 winning percentage, the best team in MLB, in the Major League Baseball so far. I mean, wow, just what a great start. So now you have to ask yourself, why is that? Well, I think it's for a few reasons. First of all, the hitting core. Now, the hitting has been the Guardians' problem for as long as I remember. I mean, just their hitting has been so inconsistent, so just mediocre. They've never really had a big power bat to complement Jose Ramirez. But somehow this year, their hitting has come together. You look at guys like Josh, you look at these guys now. I'm going to use WRC Plus for this, weighted runs created plus for this. Weighted runs created plus is a hitting stat that I really like. It factors in a lot of different things, including ballpark and just a lot of different aspects. So I do think it is the best hitting stat. It's more of an advanced stat, so if you want to look into that, please go ahead if you're not familiar with it. But basically, for WRC plus, 100 is league average. So if you're above that, it's how much percentage you are above league average. So going to the Guardians now, Josh Naylor, 182. He's 82% better than the league average. You get the example. So you have Josh Naylor, 182. David Fry, 171. Stephen Kwan, 152. Estevan Florio, 147. Gabriel Arias, 127. Andres Jimenez, 113. Tyler Freeman, 108. Will Brennan, 102. I mean, you look at these guys. First of all, Josh Naylor. This guy has always been an okay player in the league. You go back to the past few years. He's just been okay. Again, last year, 126, 119. Really solid stats. But going to 182, well, where did that come from? I couldn't tell you. I mean, I think just somehow he started hitting lefties. He has a 260 WRC plus against lefties. Now, he hasn't had that many at-bats. He's had some, but not that many. But still, that's an incredible, that's an incredible feat. A lefty-on-lefty guy, a guy who's known for his righty power, doing that is really incredible. So he finally breaks out and he becomes a superstar. It looks like David Fry, kind of more of a role player who's only had 46 plate appearances this year, but still has been really solid, hitting those lefties, a lefty killer, and has been hitting righties some as well. Stephen Kwan, 162, really, really great. Estevan Florio, a guy who was thrown away by the Yankees, Guardians picked up for scraps and got as 147 now. Gabriel Arias, a top prospect from a few years ago, finally breaking out, 127. So it seems like the hitting core of the Guardians is finally coming together. All these younger guys that have been mediocre for the past few years or have not lived up to their pedigree are finally playing well and are finally doing good. So that's really very exciting, and it's just a great thing. So if I'm a Guardians fan, I'd be really excited about where this team's going. and they have a lot to look forward to. And this is all, by the way, without Jose Ramirez performing and being Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez right now is a 91 WRC plus. He has really not been that good this season, and he's been consistent over the past few years. I mean, this year so far, going to more of like base stats, he has a OPS of 680, an OPS plus of 98. So he has really not been that good. So you factor in all these young hitters for the Guardians playing really well, hitting the ball really well, even with their superstar not hitting well, you're going to have a really good team. A team that is finally having a vision, a team that is finally having their younger guys perform to their abilities, performing really well, being themselves. I think it's a really nice job by the Guardians, and just wow, I think it's pretty clear why they've been so good. Also, another thing is their manager. I think Terry Francona being their manager over the past few years, it did kind of negatively affect them. It kind of just had the team remaining stale. Terry Francona, legendary manager, no doubt. World Series champion, a guy who is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, is one of the greatest managers of all time, no doubt. No one's arguing that. But he got older. And as he got older, I think he got a little more complacent, got a little worse, frankly, at his job, and I think it affected the Guardians team. There's a lot of great young players on this team, including their pitching staff, which we have not even touched upon. So having this older guy like Francona, a guy who is seen more of a father figure and kind of a leader than an actual manager, was kind of a negative, I'd say. I think it was kind of bringing the team down a little bit, and the Guardians needed someone who was going to fit in with that young core. And bringing Stephen Vogt in was one of their best decisions I've seen in a long time. A lot of people were skeptical about the signing. Vogt, a catcher who just retired 2 years ago, getting a major league managing job after limited to none experience in the managing field. But the Guardians believed in him, and it's worked out so far. Now, he had limited experiences in managing, probably none, for being honest, maybe something here and there, maybe go to high school, but really nothing too notable for a major league manager. But you look at Vogt, you look at his resume, he was a major league catcher for a long, long time. We always say that if any player is going to become a manager, it's going to be a catcher, because they have to deal with so much like a manager does. You have to deal with worrying about the runners on base, throwing them out, calling the pitches, catching the ball, not making an error, holding the runners, calling the pitches, working with the infield, working with the pitcher. So there's a lot a catcher has to focus on. They have to be one of the most intelligent players on the field, if not the most intelligent. And that's why we always say catchers are going to make great managers, and Vogt is a product of that. He was a great major league catcher for a long time, did his job really, really well, and it is now translating to being a major league manager. He knows what he's doing there. He's made some great decisions. He's revitalized that clubhouse. It looks like he's been just a great manager for this young group of guys that are hungry and looking to prove themselves. It's kind of a reflection of him in the managerial world. A young, hungry guy in the managerial world, under 40, trying to prove himself. The Guardians team was doing the same with all these young players that I talked about. So I think getting Vogt on your team as your manager, while it looked to be a skeptical move at the start, a move that had people scratching their heads like, okay, you're giving your manager job a manager that was very sought out by a lot of people. Apparently Craig Counsell would have taken that job if he didn't get the Cubs job. It shows you how much people wanted it. You're giving it to a former major league player who is not managed at all, or been a bench coach, or a third base coach, or a first base coach, or anything in Major League Baseball except a player. And they said yes, and he's been great so far, and they believed in him, and it's been a great addition. So I think that's another reason why the Guardians have been so good. Their manager, I think that was a great, great job for them. Also, I'm seeing on my phone now some Guardians news after looking at my notes. Gavin Williams has been shut down after experiencing a setback in his rehab. That's not good, but kind of sad that we're going from great, very positive talk about the Guardians to that, but I did see that, and I thought it was notable because we are talking about the Guardians. But, going to the pitching now for the Guardians, what's so weird is their pitching has not been that good. That's really what's strange to me. I mean, you look at the guys who have made the most starts for them: Tanner Bybee, Logan Allen, Carlos Carrasco, Tristan McKenzie, all made 4 to 5 starts. You have Bybee with a 4.44 ERA, Logan Allen a 5.06, Carrasco somehow with a 3.44. He's been good, but then a McKenzie 5.00. So it's not even like their pitching has been amazing and combating with their hitting and being that good. It's been very mediocre. They just lost their best pitcher for the year and probably next year as well with Shane Bieber. So, I mean, the Guardians' pitching hasn't even been that good. Carlos Carrasco's been a great addition to them. He's been really good somehow. I don't know how that's happened, but I mean, he's been really great since coming back to the Guardians. But Bybee hasn't been that good. He hasn't been horrible, but not that good. A 5 ERA for Logan Allen, a 5 ERA for Tristan McKenzie. So it's not even like the Guardians' rotation has been good. I think it's really their bullpen. Their bullpen has been really solid. You have one of the best closers in baseball in Emmanuel Clase, a guy that you rely on to come in that game when you have a lead and just shut it down. I mean, he's made 12 appearances so far, a .75 ERA. Underlying stats seem to show as well that he's still good. You know, other guys you have in the bullpen who have been really good as well. Hunter Gaddis, who is not allowed to run yet in 11 innings pitched. Nick Sandlin, who has a 2 ERA so far. Scott Barlow, who has been okay, 12 appearances, 4 ERA, but still solid. You have Tim Hurren, who has 11 innings pitched under his belt, .79 ERA. Eli Morgan, 2.16. So the Guardians' rotation hasn't been great, but their offense has been great. Their bullpen has been great. So overall, just the manager has been great. The rotation has been great. The bullpen has been great. Sorry, not the rotation. The hitting core has been great. So as much as the Guardians do have a lot to worry about in the future, the players are performing. The team is doing well vibes-wise. Everyone seems to like being there. They have a great fan base over there in Cleveland. So, I mean, yeah, it's looking out for the Guardians. Now, the question I want to ask is, do I think this is sustainable? I think that the Guardians are going to be a good team this year. I underestimated them. I'll say that right now. I underestimated them. I did not think they would be this good, but they have proven me wrong, so good job for them. Do I think they're going to win the AL Central now? No. Do I think they're going to be a top 5 seed? No. But I think they are still going to fight for the 6th seed in that AL. I think they're going to be above 500, and they're proving a lot of people wrong right now, which is really the most important thing to them. No one expected to do what they were doing right now. I didn't know what to think about them and what they were doing this year. So as much as we may think it's not sustainable because I don't think their hitting is going to keep hitting like this. I don't think guys like David Fry are going to sustain that much. I don't think, all the other people who are performing as well as they are going to hit that well. You could say it evens out because your superstar Jose Ramirez isn't hitting well. Your pitching hasn't been doing well with guys who you think are going to be doing well after relatively soon with guys like Tanner Bybee who is not performing up to his talent. So as much as I don't think this is sustainable for the Guardians, I don't think it's unsustainable in a way that they're just going to fall. They're just going to deeply fall down to earth and they're going to be bad and they're going to finish 5th in the AL Central. No. I think they're going to compete for the AL Central crown. I don't think they'll win it. I still think it goes to the Twins, even with the bad start they've had. I still believe in them, but I think the Guardians could fight for a wild card spot. And hey, they're proving all of us wrong. And the future of that organization is looking very, very nice right now. The first overall pick in the MLB draft, which is in July, they got very lucky with the draft lottery. They're going to get a franchise guy, so maybe Charlie Condon, maybe Travis Becerra, maybe Chase Burns even, Jack Caglione. We're going to be talking about the MLB draft tomorrow, by the way, in honor of the NFL draft happening. So just a little preview of tomorrow, so I want to talk about it a little bit, and the Guardians have the first overall pick. But yeah, I think overall things are looking very up for the Guardians organization right now. Maybe less than I thought it would be if at the start of the season and just a little while ago. A lot is going right for them right now. They have a lot of great pieces. And yeah, again, I think the start has been very impressive. Do I think it's fully sustainable? No. But I will say, I'll be the first one to admit, I underestimated them. They're better than I thought, and they're doing really, really well so far. So props to them. All right, so that was our third segment there, talking about the Cleveland Guardians and just their start to the season. We'll be going into our fourth and final segment, which is talking about some news around the league, just some transaction and injury-related news that I all wanted to bunch into one big segment. Usually we do this at the end. So yeah, let's talk about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.